This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good morning and good evening, everyone. Hope my voice is audible to everyone and my screen is also visible to everyone. So, if someone is facing any problem, you let me know. I hope my voice is audible and my screen is visible as well. Yeah, coming back. So, welcome to Isha Training Solutions Demo 2 session. So, basically, in our previous demo session, what I explained is that uh, uh, what are all the different topics that we are going to cover as part of this course journey, what we are typically going to learn. That is what we covered in our demo 1 session. Today we are going to see demo 2 session, like a little brief about certain concepts, so that we'll build that confidence that what we are going to learn in this throughout course journey. Okay, so predominantly everybody should understand like what is performance engineering, where comes the performance engineering role. Okay, because now if you are asking somebody about performance engineering, people will have a portion of understanding about performance engineering, but they will not have a holistic understanding about performance engineering. Say like in this forum there are 14 people are there in this group now. Okay, so if I ask the question like what is performance engineering, so what performance testers will do, like what I cannot do, that is actually performance engineer can do. That is what the usual answer will get it from the performance testers. Performance testers, what they will say, like what I cannot do, the performance engineer can do. That is what the usual reply will get it. But you have to realistically think like what performance engineers can do. Okay, what performance engineer role is basically. Okay, so if you think about performance engineering, performance engineer, like that, if you are thinking about, say like think from a developer point of view. Okay, developer point of view, maybe in this forum also there are developers are there, I don't know. Think from a developer point of view. What developer will do if they are working in waterfall model, or if they are working in agile model or DevOps model, whatever. Okay, they usually get the requirement. Okay, they usually get the requirement, do the development, and then they will deploy into the test environment, and then they'll deploy it into the production. That is a usual activity, right? Okay, that is a usual activity. So if you think about their timeline, the developer timeline, like nowadays is very very short. 2 week sprint, 3 week sprint, 4 week sprint, like that. Earlier days it was waterfall model. We'll deploy stable code by 3 months or 6 months, like that. Now we do not have that much of a time. Okay, we have only 2 weeks of a time or 3 weeks of a time, like that only. We are getting the timeline. So what developer can do? They'll only focus on completing the task. That's all. They will not think about whether it is a optimized code or whether it is a streamlined code, whether you are focusing on performance or what. You are not going to think about those things because of the timeline pressure. You will only complete the task. That's all. You will complete it, you will deliver it. That's all. But there comes the performance engineer role. Okay, performance engineer, they can focus on the optimization concept, streamlining concept, or some system sizing concept, or some infrastructure monitoring concepts. All those things, performance engineer can focus on, because their primary job is to focus on these points only. Developer's task is not like that. But there are in certain organization, I hope you guys are heard about a role called architect. Okay, those architects will usually focus on these things. Okay, they usually focus on fine tuning or streamlining the process, and the architects will do. But usually having an architect in a team is very very rare. That is the real story. But developers, they will not focus on the extra activity. They will only focus on their primary activity, which means that they'll get the user story, they will develop it, they'll deploy it. That's all. That's a primary activity they will focus on. In order to fill the gap, there is a problem that is coming in the unit testing phase. Means in order to fill the gap, I think performance engineer is the right choice to fill those gaps. What is really happening, what you are missing in unit testing phase, right? Performance engineer can do that. Okay, performance engineer can do that. I'll take a pass here. Anybody have any question till now?
Hey Saravanan, I joined the last session. Will there be anything new in this session to continue?
Yeah, Umer, I'm going to show you a small sample of thread dump analysis.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a working practical example of it. Definitely, we will not repeat the same thing whatever we explained in demo 1. The demo 2 is actually a different content, Umer.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So there comes the performance engineer.
Sorry. Yeah. I just want. Today I just joined. This is my first lecture. I just want to. Is there any Linux commands that required for this performance engineering? Linux.
We are
Linux
covering.
method is required.
Yeah, we are covering the commands in infrastructure monitoring. Linux infrastructure monitoring session is there, Salman. In that we are covering vmstat, netstat, iostat, sur, top, all those commands we are covering.
Okay. So actually, I'm newly for that, so that I just ask for.
I'll explain it. I'll explain. See, all these are practical oriented learning only, right? So I'll definitely show each and everything. So in that case, you can understand it. Specifically these commands.
Okay,
Wherever we have the script, we are trying to have it as a practical understanding. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I mentioned, if you are a developer, there are things you cannot do, means that you can focus on through this option. This performance engineer role can do that. Similarly, performance tester, what you, I know in this forum many are from performance testing background. Okay, so you guys think what level you guys are going? You are getting the requirement, preparing the script, executing the test, that's all. Providing the report, that's all. We are not doing anything. Anyone doing furthermore to what I'm saying? Anybody can say if you are doing furthermore to what I'm saying. Yeah, so that's a usual procedure. That is what I'm saying. So performance testers are only focusing on these things only, but performance testers they are not giving any +1 information to the developer. That's a problem statement, like I hope everybody will accept this. Performance testers problem is you are unable to convince the developer. That's a primary problem. Say like you are providing a performance testing report where your response time is 14 seconds. Anytime any performance tester, you guys are able to convince the developer why it is 14 seconds. Any time you are able to convince like your team, your stakeholder, why it is taking 14 seconds or 15 seconds. Anybody can explain. Anybody did it before?
Hey, hi, sir. Actually, we are closing monitoring those tracing details and something that some queries optimization. We are putting some SQL profile at the background. That way, we are able to find it. That suppose there is a save button which is taking time, then we put the profiler at the same time running in background. So we are able to find it that this is something is failing or something.
Wonderful, Anup, wonderful. Your team is doing that. You guys are doing this profiling when you are doing your performance testing. Is that correct?
Yes. Every time. Yeah.
That's a wonderful practice. Actually, saying maybe I presume that you are working in some product company. Is it so?
Yeah, it's product. Yeah, but we have multiple clients, so we need to do a performance testing totally.
true.
Yeah.
Anup, why I'm guessing is that like mostly in product oriented company only process, at least some process is there, some process. Certain service based company, they are strictly following, provided the senior person is too good in performance testing, then only process will be there. In other places, everything by name it will be there, by name. If I ask you a question, in how many organization in your organization you guys are preparing test plan and test strategy? Nobody will say like yes straight away, because the problem is they don't have time, they don't have any process in place. These are all problem statements. That is the reason I'm saying the performance tester, most of the place they are lacking in convincing the stakeholder. Convincing the stakeholder is a problem. But I would suggest, if you guys are doing that activity, which means that you are doing a end-to-end coverage of your testing. I will definitely say, if you are doing whatever I'm going to cover in this course journey, say like heap dump, thread dump, garbage collection, understanding, infrastructure monitoring, it may be a Windows machine, or it may be a Linux machine, or client-side performance monitoring, or profiling, whatever I'm going to cover right in this course journey, if you guys are straight away following those things, which means that your coverage is 100%. You are trying to cover each and every loophole available in your application. So that is the reason we are learning Dynatrace also. That is the reason I added Dynatrace tool also. In Isha, there is a separate training batches are running for Dynatrace alone. Okay, but I wanted to add that into this performance engineering course content, because that is the very talk in the market, I would say. I don't know whether you see, if somebody in this forum are searching for job or what, I don't know. But if you guys, those who are reading the job description, definitely one APM tool will be there in the list for sure. Predominantly that is Dynatrace also. Okay, that is the reason I wanted to bring in that flavor into the course content. We are trying to cover by 4 to 5 days of a Dynatrace session as part of this course journey. So you will familiar with the APM concepts also, profiling concepts also, infrastructure monitoring also, static monitoring tool also. Like that, we are trying to cover each and every layer. That is the wonderful thing that we are going to have it in this course journey. Okay, without further explanation, I'll quickly move on to a concept. Anyways, don't think like today is the one day I'm going to cover this. No, in this course journey, there is a separate session that are available in those days. It will probably 2 days or 3 days. Those days also, I'll definitely take this thread dump concept again, but for the benefit of everybody who is attending this demo session, I wanted to bring that understanding, like how thread dump analysis is actually typically done, how you have to read that thread dump activity, how you can educate your stakeholder saying like, boss, there is a problem, why don't you take a look? If you are resolving this problem, our application will be an optimized application. Like that, you can explain to the stakeholder. First of all, you should have that knowledge. Before you are educating others, you should be thoroughly knowledgeable in that concept, right? That is the reason we are going to learn thread dump analysis now. Okay, so quickly I'll ask a question like, what is thread dump? Anybody who knows about thread dump you can explain like what is thread dump? Anybody can say in a simple term?
A screenshot of the thread at the current moment.
Yeah. So wonderful, Umair. Like maybe you mentioned screenshot, right? I will take it a snapshot. Okay, snapshot of thread at the moment of time. Okay.
Yeah, a snapshot.
Okay.
Yeah, the right word should be snapshot.
Yeah. So when you are facing any problem, if don't think like why this guy is actually explaining like how I'm explaining in interview sessions and all, right? But it's actually, that's a good practice. That is the reason I'm telling like this. If somebody is asking this question like what is thread dump during the interview or any discussion forum, somebody is asking, how you can explain is that like when your application is hanging, crashing, frozen, spinning, slowness, you are facing any problem in your application, that time you can take a thread dump. Thread dump is nothing but it is a snapshot of threads that are running at the moment of time. Snapshot of threads that are running at the moment of time to identify what are all the threads which are responsible for this hanging, crashing, spinning, frozen, slowness. For all those reasons, what is the reason for which thread is actually reason for those those action? That is what thread dump analysis. Okay, thread dump analysis is nothing but you are taking a snapshot of the threads that are running at the moment of the time to identify the issue. Clear, guys? Anybody have any question in this definition understanding? What is thread dump? If anybody having any question, tell me so that I'll explain again. Okay, so this is what thread dump. Okay, so I'll quickly open my Eclipse. So during our course journey, I will explain, I will share all these artifacts, contents and everything so that you guys can learn each and everything. You can do it in your machine itself, in your local machine itself, so that it will be a practical understanding instead of a theoretical understanding. So for now, maybe I'm explaining like what is available in my machine, but when we are going for our journey, course journey, we will explain like how to set it up in the local environment in your machine, and then how you are going to learn all these things. That is what typical the learning would be. So we will do that when we are going for the regular session. For now, I'm going to explain like I'm launching this IDE, Eclipse IDE, and then how am I going to run this program, and then how am I going to identify the or capture the thread dump, and how am I going to find the issues. Okay, that is what I'm going to typically do now. In the meantime, I'll go to my C folder, program files. See, a lot of different procedures are there, guys. Even in our course journey also, how to manually read thread dump, how to use online tools, how to take it through, or how to read it through your APM tools, how to read it through your profiling tools. Like that, we are going to have different understanding. But for now, I'm going to explain through a JDK inbuilt utility called JVisual VM. Through that, how you are going to read it and understand it, that is what I'm going to explain to you guys now. But in our regular course journey, that time I will explain all the different type. Say like there are commands are there to take the thread dump, and then how to manually analyze it, how to automate it, the way analyze the thread dump. Like that we will learn it. Okay, so for now I'm launching this JVisual VM. So this is not only the procedure in my regular class. What will I do? Not only using this Eclipse, I have my application Apache Tomcat server, in which I deployed one JPEG store application. That application we will do a load testing. Say like we will do some user load, say like 50 user load or 100 user load, and I'll try to simulate that behavior, how the thread dump can be captured, how you can read your thread dump and all. We will do it in our regular session. Okay, for now I'm going to, in a simple way, in a normal way, how we can understand this issue. That is what I'm typically going to explain now. So in my Eclipse, I have a program. Actually, you visualize it, that is your application, organization application. That application I'm trying to do a unit testing kind of an execution, and I'm trying to show the behavior. Okay, so that is what we are going to simulate it now. So this is actually a deadlock program. Okay, deadlock program. Okay, deadlock means what? One resource, I'll maybe I'll explain like this, because all these are very important concepts. Okay, say this is Saravanan. Okay, this is Saravanan, and this is Surya. Example. Okay, this is Saravanan, Okay, for naming convention, I'll say like Umair. Okay, this is Saravanan and this is Umair. So what happened? Saravanan is actually access to one resource. Access to one resource. One particular resource. It may be you consider like you consider like a printer. Okay, some printer I'm accessing. I'm accessing the printer. Okay, in a simple term, I'll explain and then I'll go with the picture. Okay, say like I gave a print to a printer. I gave print to the printer, and in the meantime, Umair also gave print to the same printer. In the meantime, Surya also gave the print to the same printer. What will happen, guys? What will happen in this case? What will happen? Realistically, what will happen? Realistically, what will happen?
Yeah, it's gonna be
It will
queue.
deadlock.
Come again? Come again, Sana?
There will be queue.
Queue.
Yeah.
Realistically, it will be queue, because unless and until my printing activity is not completed, Surya's printing activity will not happen. After that only Umair's activity will be happening. Correct or not? That is a sequential thing, right? First come, first serve. So that is the activity that is going to happen. Okay. Say like I gave a printer to the printer, right? I gave a printer to the printer. So I accessed this printer. Okay. And then what I did, as per the program logic, I went to a sleep mode. Okay, thread.sleep. Okay, I went to a sleep mode. Okay. Similarly, Umair also accessed a different printer. Example. Umair also accessed a different printer. And again, Umair also went to a sleep mode. Umair, as per the program, Umair also went to a sleep mode. Thread.sleep. Okay. So now if Saravanan is trying to access the printer number 2, if Saravanan is trying to access the printer number 2, Saravanan is trying to access the printer number 2, okay, what will happen in that case? Anybody can say what will happen in that case?
It will wait for the thread.sleep to complete, and then and only it can have use the
Wonderful.
printer. Yeah.
Wonderful. You are exactly pointing the term that it will wait for the thread.sleep to complete, and then only it will allow the second person to access this printer. In the meantime, Umair also trying to access the printer of Saravanan. What will happen? Saravanan has to release the printer, then only Umair can take the printer. This condition is called as deadlock. Unless and until Umair is not releasing the printer, Saravanan cannot take it. Saravanan releasing the printer, Umair cannot take it. This condition is called as deadlock. Actually, this may be a double deadlock or triple deadlock, but in a simple term, I'm explaining this deadlock condition. Any question in this, guys? Deadlock, simply in a simple way, this is the deadlock. Okay. So coming back to the program, this program is written like that only. Internally, this program is written like that. So if I execute it in local execution, if I execute it, okay. So programmatically, this is saying thread 1 logged resource this one, thread 2 logged resource this. Okay. Don't worry, you are not going to think about the Eclipse and all, because Eclipse is something done by, you think like something is done by different person. You are only doing a thread dump analysis. As a end user, you are going to do the thread dump analysis. That is the only thing you are going to think about. So what you are doing, you are going here. This JVisual VM capability of this JVisual VM is automatically detecting the JVM. All your Java virtual machine would be detected automatically. That is the beauty of this JVisual VM. Okay. So here, this Eclipse is running in one JVM, and the program is also running in one JVM. Okay. So that is actually shown here in the JVisual VM. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to monitor this program. And I wanted to understand what is really happening in this program. Okay. I wanted to really understand what is happening in this program. So this is the behavior of this JVisual VM. So what I'm doing for everybody's understanding, what I'm going to do, actually there is a separate session is there, guys. JVisual VM is a separate session. I'm going to explain each and every tab level we are going to see in our regular session, but today I'm going to explain about thread dump concepts, right? So I'm straight away going to the thread tab. So what is the behavior of this tool? It is straight away saying what it is mentioned here, guys.
Deadlock detected.
Here? Deadlock detected. The tool is capable of saying like deadlock detected. And thread 1 and thread 2 is already there in what status? It is there in monitor status. It is there in the monitor status. In JVisual VM, the blocked status is actually called as monitor status. Okay, in JVisual VM. So in our regular session, anyways, I'm going to explain about each and every status, what is the status, how it is coming, all those explanation will be there. For now, what I'm doing, I executed a program. I saw something wrong in the JVisual VM. I am going to take a thread dump now. So usually thread dump would be taken in a series of thread dump only. You have to take it, guys. Okay, series of thread dump. 3 thread dump or 5 thread dump, like that only you have to take it. In a single thread dump, you cannot capture all your issues, cannot be captured in single thread dump. You have to at least take 3 to 5 thread dumps in order to identify each and every thread related issue. Each and every thread related issue. Okay, I'll take a pause here. Anybody have any question?
Hey, sir. Actually, we have a .NET projects mostly. So, is there have anything which can help me in .NET?
It is there, Anup. Probably it is not there in the course content, but tools are there. You can search about debug diag WinDBG. 2 tools are there, debug diag and then WinDBG. WinDBG is a very familiar tool. You try with WinDBG, you will definitely do that. Crash them, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So
Shravan, one more question. So actually here if we are using a tool for analyzing thread dump, so in this course are you going to teach us how to read thread dump by ourselves, or if there is an issue we can see by looking thread dump or analyzing by ourselves without using any tool?
Yeah, Anjali, that is what I mentioned. We are going to learn manually reading the thread dump, automated way of reading the thread dump. That is how I explained previously also. We are going to manually read it. The status, how the stack trace, all these are stack trace. Okay, how the stack trace are there. That is what we are going to learn it.
Okay, thank you.
A sample of it I'm going to show you right now, Anjali. You can see that.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually the thread life cycle, I hope everybody would have learned it before, but I knew runnable, waiting, timed waiting, blocked and terminated. These are the status, right? I hope everybody understands it. So mostly blocked status is the first critical status that you need to validate it. Blocked. Okay, logged status. Okay. So if I scroll down this entire thread dump, okay, entire thread dump, all these are timed waiting, runnable, timed waiting, timed waiting, timed waiting, runnable and blocked. Okay, so here it is saying blocked and here it is saying blocked. Okay, I told you you are not going to see something in the Eclipse, you are going to only see something in the dump only. Don't you forget it, you forget Eclipse related things, because you are not the owner, but you can see something in your thread dump, right? Now since I ran the deadlock program in front of you guys would have understand there is a deadlock that is going to happen. But you realistically think it, okay? Realistically think it, you will not understand any deadlock is there or what and all, right? You are going to only read and understand your thread dump. That is what the realistic procedure. Now I am going to explain how the deadlock is actually happening, okay? Say, read this, okay? This is your thread name. This is your priority, this is your OS priority, this is your thread ID, native ID, all these are there, and then your status. Okay, So blocked status I'm reading. I'm going to read my stack trace now. Stack trace, okay. So what it is saying, at com.example.memory leak.deadlock program, deadlock runnable.run, deadlock program.java, 27th line. Okay, 27th line, there is a problem. Okay, waiting to lock. It is saying waiting to lock, there is a thread ID is there. Okay, waiting to lock and currently logged in one ID. Okay, currently logged in one ID and is waiting to lock in another ID. Okay, similarly, I'm going to read the next blocked condition. Here, what it is saying, waiting to lock this one and currently logged in this one. Everybody able to understand this lock? Actually, it is logged in E8, waiting to lock 08. Here, currently logged in 08, waiting to lock E8. Everybody able to understand how this deadlock happened?
Yes, sir.
You're able to clearly understand it, right? And also it is having the clue that Java line 27th line, there is a problem. If you could go, this is a 27th line, print logged resources, resource number 2. That is actually printing this value, actually saying. So from the code also you are able to understand in the 27th line something is actually happening wrong. Okay, so that is how you are going to read your thread dump. Okay, so what will you do in your thread dump? Which are all blocked condition? First you will read it. Okay, completed. Next one, what will you do? You will check your waiting status. Waiting, whichever the threads that are there in the waiting status. Okay, say like it is waiting in the first thread dump. You are waiting. One particular thread ID is waiting. In the second thread dump, you are checking that same thread ID, the thread ID, this thread ID, guys. Okay, this thread ID. The same thread ID is actually available in the second thread dump also. The same thread ID is available in the third thread dump also. The same thread ID is available in the fifth thread dump also. What you guys are able to understand, if the same thread ID is available in the fifth thread dump also, what you guys are understanding?
I mean, it means like this particular thread is a culprit.
Wonderful. This particular thread, why it is waiting for this much of a time? That is a first understanding. Correct or not? Because you are not, you say like you consider first thread dump, I took it by 9 o'clock. Second thread dump, I took it by 9:1. Third thread dump, I took it by 9:2, 9:3, 9:4, 9:5. Which means that the same thread ID is in the waiting status for 5 minutes means, is that a good sign? Is that a good sign? The same thread is waiting for 5 minutes. Is that a good sign, guys?
No.
No, it is not a good sign, because your SLA itself 5 seconds or 7 seconds or 10 seconds to the max. I'm saying your performance testing SLA itself that much means how that particular thread can wait for 5 minutes. Then there is a problem. Then there is a problem. You are coming to the conclusion there is a problem. Because of that reason only the thread ID is waiting for 5 minutes. Able to understand, guys? Able to understand the issue?
Yeah.
So this is how, not only this waiting status, guys, you will also check your runnable status also. You need to check it. So this is just a sample that I wanted to show you in this demo 2 session, guys. Definitely more detailed level, more clarity level, we will learn this thread dump analysis, heap dump analysis, garbage collection and analysis. All those things we will learn it in our subsequent days, the course journey. But I wanted to bring you this thought process in your mind, like how everybody is actually doing the thread dump analysis. I hope many would have heard about thread dump analysis, but you would have not seen any thread dump analysis how people are doing. So this is how you are going to do your thread dump analysis. So we'll do that in a different way. How you are going to read it, understand it, those things we will do it in the regular course journey session, guys. Okay, that is how we are going to learn this performance engineering. Anybody have any question till now?
Saravanan, I have one question. As you said that this thread 1 is culprit, right? Can we check here like how much time it is taking?
the time level this dump will not give you. It is only going to tell you the high level information, because I'll tell you one thing. You can see it in the profiling tool. Okay, you can see it in the profiling tool here. Whatever you are expecting in JVisual VM, that is not possible. JVisual VM is a static tool in the sense like you do not have a source code. You do not have a source code integration. But in profiling tools you have a source code integration, correct or not? So there you can understand or get it whatever the number that you are expecting, right? Those can be identified in profiling tool. Similarly in APM tool, Dynatrace is APM tool, right? So Dynatrace APM tool also I will show you those things and all, Salman. When we are going for the session, no, I'll explain what is pure path. There is a concept called pure path, in that which is actually taking more time, and which thread is actually involved in that more time activity. I'll show those details. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Is there any difference in thread dump?
One more.
No, Madan. Nothing is
Yeah,
different. Nothing is different if you are taking with the different tools and all, Madan. Thread dump is thread dump.
Okay, Sarwan, I have.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You can continue. Okay. Actually, the thing is, I'm not working on the JMeter or load runner. Okay, we have a Silk Performer over here. So mostly we are working on the browser-based applications, means the browser-based testing. So this course, I saw the contents and all the stuff. This is more likely to the Java related. So any I can use those terms in my testing or something. That what I wanted, because I'm little new about some things like thread dump. We mostly not used. Frankly, I'm saying. But the thing is, any particular things which can help me throughout this journey of this class.
See, that is what maybe you are not using that. That is the understanding. Okay. So it is not that 100% everybody will use everything, right? Like that is a realistic understanding. Say if you are asking a Java developer, and if you are saying like you are using the finalizer method every time, they'll say like, no, I'm not using it. So finalizer is something that which is available in Java, but whether you are using or not is that is a different understanding. So here also we are trying to bring in the thought process of all the flavors, like heap dump, thread dump, garbage collection, everything. But definitely it will be 100% utilized for certain organizations. In your case, if you are not using, definitely this garbage collection you should definitely use it. Whether you are
I will ask you very frankly. I will ask you very frankly. Means suppose I gone for some of the interviews. Okay, so I don't have knowledge of load runner and JMeter, but I have strong knowledge of the performance engineering. Then suppose I'm able to explain this concept to them. Then is this useful to me? Means I'm frankly asking to you.
No, definitely it will be useful.
Okay.
See, I'll tell you, performance engineers knowing performance testing tool is a value add. Okay, but it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory that you should know tool. But if we are having an understanding, that is a value add. Because say like I am a performance engineer, I wanted to simulate certain issue under heavy load. That time if I know the procedure, straight away I can install the tool in my local machine and then I can simulate it, instead of I am going and asking a performance tester. Correct or not? That is a value add.
Yeah.
But we should not think like if you are not knowing load runner, you cannot do performance engineering. No, not like that. Knowing that is a value add. Everything you are, if you are not depending on someone, that is actually the good way to do activity, right? If you are not, say like I'll tell you, infrastructure monitoring, I don't know how to do it, I always depend on infrastructure monitoring team. Is that a right approach? No, right? You should do, if you are having that access, you should do it. Okay, that is the understanding. So definitely knowing the tool is a value add, but performance engineer can standalone do all the activities also. Whatever we are learning, they can do all these activities also. And this garbage collection or infrastructure monitoring, client side monitoring, all those things are unique capabilities. Okay, unique capabilities. I don't know you are working in .NET based application. Is that you
Yeah,
said
yeah,
that?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
maybe
yes, yes,
you
yes.
guys are little like you maybe you guys are little legacy based applications. Okay, so but in a modern trend, this is all changing. Everything is actually changing.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
that's why I wanted to learn.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I heard
definitely.
about it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, hi,
Also, the
my name is
Linux and all
Mohammed.
those
I have a question
tools.
for you.
Yeah, Mohammed. Yeah, Mohammed.
Sure. So I
Okay,
do working as a
just a minute.
performance
Just a minute,
tester.
Mohammed.
Sure.
Just a minute, Mohammed. Please, just a minute. The previous question asked Anup. Did I cover your question, Anup? And I answered it.
Yes,
No?
only one question I wanted, that Linux and all those part will be covered in this, right? Where Linux
Yeah, yeah,
related
yeah.
and all.
It is there. It is there, Anup. Yeah, it is there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Now
it
you
from my
ask
side.
your. Yeah. Thank you, Anup. Now you ask your question, Mohammed.
Sure. So as a performance tester, we normally divide it two level, like application level or OS level. So I was planning, like I said, this course might help to understand, whenever you need to debugging or you need to pinpoint the performance issue, we might able to help them either OS level or application level. So like I say, for me, as a road runner or the JMeter, we do able to find out, the transaction response time, or is any how many pages you can view per minute, and this kind of most of the struggle we have at OS level because we don't have a full access for the OS level. And the OS level, like normally most of the I work for New York City, the New York City, they have a tools they use in either Dynatrace or Splunk to see what is the backend is running the process and the OS level, the OS level. So are you covering anything? I know you mentioned for the Dynatrace. Do you have any other tools? Maybe we can start, yeah, we can. I know the Dynatrace can cover OS level and application level both, but what do you have any other tools?
See, in our course, see, a lot of tools are there, Mohammed. But if we are adding those things, then the course will become heavyweight course. So that's the reason we wanted to bring the flavor of all the things. That is the reason I added Dynatrace alone. If you ask me, like App Dynamics is there, New Relic is there, CAAPM is there, Pinpoint is there, Elasticsearch is there. Like that, I can add n number of tool list, Mohammed. But we wanted to bring the flavor using the Dynatrace tool. Whatever you are asking will definitely answered. All your questions are answered using the Dynatrace tool itself. Okay, that is more sufficient. Okay, that is actually covered. So, but there are other tools also there in the market. That is what I listed right now. Those are also there. But using this APM tool Dynatrace, I'll explain whatever the question that you're asking, right? Application level, database level, your real user monitoring level, synthetic monitoring level, or your OS level, whatever you are asking, right? Everything would be covered. Mohammed.
Is the
Okay.
percentage of the Dynatrace you will cover? Is it like a 20%, 30%, 50%? Do you know?
Actually, I'm going to give you the 100% coverage, but in a nutshell.
No.
In a
I'm talking
nutshell,
about the total your course, because you see the my experience, we not using Java. Like I know the other one was the other one. The guy also mentioned that because every environment, every company, they using different specific, Sure. So, like I say, for me, I work for a long time for performance tester. We never use ThreatREM or anything to Java monitoring. We mostly using like the OS level on application level. Like I say, application level, we using the Roadrunner
what
and the
is your
OS level.
application? What is your application made of? Which technology that they are using?
Like I said, the one I just finished one project that we are using testing on the Salesforce. That there is a cloud as a platform, and is most of them is like a Salesforce. So we sharing the environment.
Salesforce, I don't think you have anything to do because the vendor is going to own everything. Even
Yeah,
monitoring is
that's why
not
they
there.
mentioned that. Like our client, they do have their tools. For us, we mostly just generate the road, and then we just let them how many the user created, how many. Like at the last project I worked, the COVID-19 project. So how many fast dose we created, and how many fast dose we can reschedule or cancel. So those kind of like we write in the SQL query on the Salesforce and just report to them, but we generate the load with the Roadrunner. But like I say, so I actually going to start my new job and the new client. I don't know their interface will be, but that's my start date is April 12. So I know I have 2 weeks to start it. So I was like interested, maybe I can do some kind of performance experience. So maybe I can able to feel, because that's the company I'm going to. I'm only one. There is no performance team yet, but they're going to do. So that's why I was more interested to see.
Yeah, Mohammed, answer to your question. So for now, maybe you did not get the opportunity. Okay, for sure, the Salesforce application performance testing, I would say, whatever you are expecting will not match with this course content, because Salesforce, I would say, what you are maximum going to do, you are going to prepare the script, execute it. That's all. Even you cannot find any CPU related, memory related, heap related, garbage collection related, anything you cannot find it, because it is all black box for you. Everything is actually owned by the Salesforce team. SFDC team only, they'll maintain everything. You only do the scripting, execution, reporting. That's all. But it is not the entire world, right? Entire world is not only Salesforce. We will have a lot of other things are there. So knowing this, learning this, it's definitely a milestone in your learning. That's definitely a remarkable learning that we are going to have it, because in a future, suddenly you are getting any project related to Java, related to these concepts, it is all going to be useful for you, for sure. Okay, but
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like I say, I'm not going, because the new company I'm going to join in April 12, they're not using the Salesforce. So when I had a meeting with the CTO, he asked me about what kind of tools. They like I said, they're not even decided yet. They want to go. They most likely go on open source tools, whatever the open source we can get it. But also, like I said,
concept is concept only. Whichever the tool that you are using, concept is same only, Mohammed. So we can definitely say only thing I'll tell you, for not only for Mohammed, for everybody. Say like you are talking to your stakeholder, your developer or your customer end. Okay, you are talking to them, and if they are asking any question to you, if you are unable to clarify their questions, there your presence is waste. Your presence is not that great importance. But whatever the question that they are asking you, if you are technically convincing them, your presence is precious, your presence is very, very important. They'll think like, this guy's presence is very, very important to me. That is how everybody will think. If your customer is asking a question, and if you are telling them, boss, thread dump means this is what, this is how you have to take the thread dump, this is how you are going to simulate the issue, this is how then you are creating that confidence to the stakeholder. Wow, this guy is a person that I expected. You can deploy this guy as a single-handed person to identify all your problem statement. That is what the impression that we are trying to create with the customer or the stakeholder. And one more thing also I'll tell you, Mohammed, you are reporting a issue to your development team, and the development team is saying like, no, you did wrong testing, you did not follow the workload properly, and you did not this, that, like that, if we are telling. But if you have a strong knowledge on these concepts, if you have a fundamental basement in all these concepts, you can talk to them technically and then make them clearly understand this is all issue, and you need to definitely fix it. Then if you are talking to them technically, they will not reject your words, they'll not say anything about your words, they'll accept, yeah, whatever you're saying is correct, yeah, this is true, like that only they will understand it. So for those confidence creating or justifying yourself or creating some kind of a positive impression about you, you should be thorough in these concepts. That is not for Mohammed, for everybody I'm saying. That impression we have to create with the stakeholder guys. For that, this performance engineering concepts and all very, very important. Clear, everybody?
Yeah, clear, Savan. I have a couple of questions basically. One is like Muhammad Islam and the other guy Anup said. My application where I'm right now working is completely .NET based, but I have a cloud infrastructure and Azure based infrastructure having Docker and Kubernetes and microservices based pods. So will this course, I think I know you said like concept are the main thing, key things, and if you get the concept, then you can actually present anywhere, whether it is .NET or Java. So will this be suitable for me or not?
Yeah. See, that's what Umer. I'm saying all these are terms and terminologies. I would say terms and terminologies. That's all. But performance testing concepts, development concepts, SDLC, STLC, PTLC, PELC, all these are fundamentals, right? Though you are using different terms and terminology. Maybe in Cognizant they will use one term, in Infosys they'll use one term, in TCS they'll use one term. But fundamentally, concept is concept, right? You are doing testing in cloud infrastructure. You are doing testing in on-premises infrastructure. Is there any different way that you are doing testing? No, right? You are doing anything different when you are doing it in cloud or when you are doing it in on-premises?
No. But in terms of monitoring and analyzing, things are different actually.
Maybe it is something that you are talking about AWS CloudWatch or Azure Apptelligent. So that those are all again terms and terminology different. But conceptually, CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk utilization, thread utilization, heap utilization are concepts. That's all. Correct or not? Wherever you do, whatever you do, concept is concept. Correct or not? Everybody will accept this.
Yes.
Okay. So though you are using a modern fancy terms, but fundamentals are common only, Umer. Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing, actually, the main part right now, which I'm working actually, the main problem issues are coming into the database side, and we're using the Azure database SQL Server as a database, and which is a PaaS, basically platform as a service. And will you connect? I mean, cover something like deadlocks related in the database or database profiling, and then problem identification, and then
we have Oracle database actually part of our session. Okay, Oracle. Because we had the large volume analysis, like most of the organization, which DB is actually more familiar. In that way only we took Oracle as a choice of DB. So in Oracle we are going to learn AWR, ADDM, ASH reporting things and all. So that is part of this course content. But fundamentally there also you are going to think about these DB connectivity, DB infra utilization, DB query level understanding. That is what we are going to do here also. Okay.
Okay. I hope you will provide some documentation as well to just go and have more length and breadth in the SQL side instead of Oracle, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Not on the query writing and all. I'm not going to explain, Umer.
No, I'm not expecting that. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm expecting in terms of like bottleneck identification, and then
as part of the course journey, wherever we are completing, wherever it requires a detailed explanation, I have the materials that I will share.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
So sir, we have a shell scripting and all those stuff covered something?
See, you are saying shell scripting, but internally those are commands only again. Okay. So we are having commands to be executed in Linux server that we will cover it in detail. Anu.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I think Umer and my projects are same, so might be I'll help him in some point.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Thanks, Anu.
So yeah. With this, probably we'll just a minute, sorry. So those who are interested to proceed with this course content and you are satisfied with the demos that we have taken, so you guys reach out to Kumar sir, 80199524227. I'll repeat again, 80199524227. You can reach out to Kumar sir and discuss about course content, course timing, commercials, everything you can discuss with him. I hope it is displayed in the screen itself, but if you wanted to have a separate discussion with him, you can have it. And the time that we are going to have the session is the same time slot, 9 to 10 Indian time, and correspondingly in global time. And it is only weekdays, Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday is leave. And then we are planning to have 25 plus hours. Okay, 25 plus hours of a session that we are going to have it for this learn. Okay, thanks everybody.
When officially we're starting this batch?
Actually, it is supposed to be started today. Is actually supposed to be the day one, but if you wanted to give one more shot for everybody, to assess us, like how we are actually doing, right? So that is the reason I added the demo session. So probably today is Friday in India, so Monday is our day one.
Day one, okay. Monday will be the day one, okay. And the same time, 9 to 10, if we okay.
Yeah, man. So that is how
And
we
how many? Okay, sorry. How many sessions will be covered? Means how many days?
that is what I mentioned, right? 25 plus hours, 25 hours.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. And that Sunday, any off or you can continue the.
Saturday and Sunday is
Sorry,
off. Saturday and Sunday is off. It is
okay.
only
Sorry,
weekly session.
I haven't read that. Sorry for that. Okay, I'll read that.
No, not read
Will
that.
there be, sorry, will there be new meeting link?
From Isha, periodically they will share the link. Okay, periodically. They maintains that actually. I only do this training part. They maintains the link part and other stuff. They maintain it. Yeah. If there is any change in the link, they'll share with you. And they'll also share. Okay, sorry. This each and every session would be recorded. The videos will be shared through YouTube playlist, and that playlist video is lifetime access to you all. Lifetime access for you all. And any questions, clarifications required, anytime you can reach out to me. My name is again like Saravanan Srinivasan. You can reach out to me anytime to ask your questions and clarifications. Yeah. Okay. And
Thanks.
thanks everybody for spending your time and having this demo session with us. Like thanks again for giving this opportunity for me to share my knowledge with you people. We'll have this regular practice, like if you guys are joining the session, we'll have that regular course journey. In that we'll share a lot of things, a lot of learnings will be there. It will be a mutual understanding, mutual discussion session. So thanks everybody for joining this demo session.
Seven, and one last question. What will be the batch size actually? How many people will be there in one batch, like in the coming batch?
Umesh, sorry, I don't have right now any clue on that. Usually it is based on the enquiry that we are getting it. Okay. Right now I don't have the number, but it depends. It depends. Okay. There are times what will happen. Morning batches will get more students, or evening batches will get more students, or timing also sometimes plays a role. Sometimes peak time people will join or they'll not join. Dependencies are there. Okay. So right now I don't have any number, but maybe you discuss with Kumar. He's the right person to get all these information. Okay.
Okay, fine. Thanks, Seven, and thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Before you,
Thank you. It's nice to know.
Is there any different timing apart from this? Mostly for year students?
That is what you talk to Kumar. That is what I mentioned. Like you talk to Kumar. Kumar is the right person to decide on this time slots and all usually, because they manages that. I only do the demo things. But for now, the time that we decided is this time slot. This time slot, whatever we are having the demo, right? This is the time slot that we decided for now. If you wanted to have any change or any information related to the time slot, you discuss with Kumar. He will do the feasibility. Okay. Okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.